Hi, my name is Justice, and this is day 8 of Healing Out Loud. I am documenting my depression so my kids don't have to lose their mom the way I lost mine. Some of the most confusing pain is when the person you love shows up but still doesn't show up for you. When I was in boarding school, you know how regular schools have open houses and parents' days? We had that too. And for me, most of the time, nobody came. I can count on one hand how many times somebody came for me in my entire time there that I had a visit. And every single one of those parents' days, mostly I would look around and watch everybody else run into their parents' arms, going home for the weekend, shopping, bonding, and I would just be there. But I did have someone. There was a teacher, the assistant dean of students. We're going to call him Mr. S. He was one of my safest places. He knew everything about me. I told him everything I was going through. Everything. He knew. On parents' days, he would show up for me with a name tag with my last name on it, like he was my dad. He would take me to his house on campus, and I remember one time we had dinner. He would play catch with me. At that time, I was in softball, and he would just sit with me and talk. And for those moments, I didn't feel alone. That was one of the most genuine people in my childhood. And I found out years ago that he passed away. And more than anything, I wish that I could have stayed in touch with him, because I know I wasn't the only kid he was saving like that. But there was one time my mom came, and I can't even explain to you the level of happiness I felt like. It was finally my turn. She got a hotel room in the city part of Connecticut. She got me dressed up to try to make me look like I was older, because she wanted to go out and have fun. I need y'all to understand this part. My mama was not well. So when I tell you this next part, please hear it with the awareness of mental health. We went out to clubs, and I remember standing there, feeling it in my body. I did not feel comfortable here. But I also remember thinking I don't want her to feel uncomfortable, because I loved when she was happy. And I hadn't seen her in so long. We're living in 2 different states. I'm about 6th grade at this age. So I just went along with it. I remember one club specifically. The bouncer looked at me and said, "There's no way, that is a kid." My mom put out $100 and she slipped it to him, and he let us in. She was drinking and dancing, and she kept handing me shots. And I remember taking some of them. But a lot of them I faked. I would pretend to drink it and pour it out on the floor when she wasn't looking, because she was so drunk she didn't even notice. And I wasn't there yet. I wasn't that type of kid yet. That came later, but not then. At some point we left, and I realized I didn't know where we were. We had turned so many blocks and walked so far that I forgot to get back to the hotel. And she was in no condition to figure it out. She was like really, really drunk. So now I'm a child in a city I really don't know, trying to keep up, trying to stay calm, and trying to figure out how to get us back. And then there's that moment that never left my mind. I had to pee so bad, but I didn't feel safe leaving her while we were in the club, so I held it. Then she told me, "Go pee right there." It was a public parking lot with people walking all around, and I remember just freezing. I was young, I was scared, and I wasn't at an age where I would just do something like that. So I tried to play it off and act like I didn't have to go anymore, and she got mad and started yelling. She was like, "You scary, go pee." While people were literally walking past me, and I remember pulling my pants down, squatting, trying my best, because to this day, I've never been able to just squat and pee. And I just remember feeling so embarrassed. And it didn't stop there. We ran into another woman leaving the bar, and she was drunk too. And she said her hotel was like the same hotel as somewhere around. And I remember we followed her. I remember being in that room, watching them talk, become friends, like everything was normal. And then the lady offered me a cigarette, and I took it. Not because I wanted it, but because I felt pressured. Because I felt like I needed to go along to keep everything okay. My mom took one too. And the whole time I just kept thinking, I just want her to be comfortable. But the part that stuck with me the most was something so small at school. There was a lot of international students, especially from Korea, and they would have the best snacks and the best noodles and all types of things that I loved. And I couldn't really get those things. I got care packages, but not like that. And my mom kept promising me that this weekend she was going to take me to the market and get me a box full of stuff. And I was so excited, not just because of her, but because I finally had something, I could go back and have. We finally made it back to the hotel and we fell asleep. The next morning, I woke up early. The sun was rising and I remember just sitting there watching the time because I knew I had to be back at school at a certain time. And every hour that passed, I realized that she was not waking up. She was too drunk and hungover. And I just kept watching the clock, knowing that I wasn't going to the store, knowing I wasn't getting the things I told everybody I had. And that feeling, if you know, you know. I went back to school later that day and I acted like everything was normal, like I had a great weekend, like I got everything I needed. And for a long time, I didn't know what to call that feeling because I was happy she came, but I was also uncomfortable. I was embarrassed. I was scared. I felt alone. And even though I wasn't by myself, I didn't understand how all of that could exist at the same time. So I learned something in that moment without even realizing it. I learned how to ignore myself to protect someone else's feelings. And I learned how to sit in discomfort just to keep somebody else happy. I learned how to accept love even when it didn't feel safe. And I think that's why for so long I struggled with my own needs, because that little girl just wanted her mom, even if that came with confusion and even if that came with pain. And the way that shaped me, the things I accepted later in my life because of that, that's a whole nother story, and we'll get to that. This is day 8, Healing Out Loud.